Assalamu alaikum. Today's chapter is called ما جاء في الكهان ونحوهم. What has come to us regarding the Kohan. Kohan means the fortune teller, the one who predicts the future. The last remaining chapters, there's like 5 of them, will perhaps be the most interesting because they are concerning all of the fallacies that are widespread until now among the simpler people and otherwise sometimes of dealing with the unseen. We've dealt with it peripherally up until now, but now we have separate chapters for all the different types of, we would call it absurd behavior, I would hope so, but take note, most of the world is still doing this. The reason they're still doing this is nobody's teaching them anything and nobody's telling them not to. On the contrary, they're promoting it because the longer you keep people ignorant and fearful, and that you can make a profit out of it by controlling those, let's call it magicians. I mean, I don't like to say the word because it has no intrinsic value in any real sense. But that's me, you see, because I don't believe in any nonsense except the mighty Allah and His mighty powers, which He has revealed to us, completely all we need in Quran and Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad. But it's always best, as we say in English, know your enemy. And forearmed is forewarned, if you know what I mean. So seeing as no one else really is doing this in any depth, and this book, Kitab al-Tawheed, is probably, I told you, it's the most important book after the Quran. It's 1,000 pages, but, I noticed the last time you saw, because my first volume has been traveling all over the world for so many years, and, it gets a little, shall we say, I don't know, raggy or something, because here's the next. When we finish this, by the way, hopefully by the end of this month, we will go into the second volume. And here is the second volume. Also 500 pages. So you can see it's been, it's the same, but it's the second volume. So I do have its cover here, around here somewhere. And I will have it reassembled somehow. Probably won't be till I go back to Egypt, or maybe it won't ever be. There's some special glue that you can use, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. Let's get back to our subject. We're going to describe the words and their meanings, and then we're going to do some hadith, and we're going to keep it, I would say, under half an hour, inshallah. Because the upload problem. Okay. Al-Kuhan, Jama Kahin, the plural and the singular. Al-Kuhan is the plural of the word Kahin, which means a magician who uses fortune telling. Wal-Kahana Aidan Jama Kahin, and there's another form. وهم قوم يكونون في أحياء العرب يتحاكم الناس إليهم. They used to be residing in the Arab areas, and the Arabs would deal with them. Tatasali bihim shaitan, and they would be you can say, in cooperation with them to hear things from the devils. وتخبرهم أما كان في سماء. They would inform them of what would go on up in the skies. تسترق السماء من السماء وتأتي وتخبر الكاهن. And then they would inform the kahin. The devils would inform the kahin. ثم كاهن يضيف إلى هذا الخبر ما يضيف من الأخبار الكاذبة. And he himself, the kahin, would add in lies to anything he heard. ويخبر الناس, and then he would lie to the people. فإذا وقع مما أخبر به شيء, and if it happened, اتقدوه الناس عالما بالغيب. So they would connect this occurrence of something befalling them to this man's knowledge of علم الغيب. فصاروا يتحاكموا إليهم. And so they used this information to judge between the people. فهم مرجع للناس في الحكم, ولهذا يسمون الكهنة إذا هم يخبرون عن الأمور في مستقبل. So this title they were given, the Kahan, means the one who tells the future. يقولون سيقع كذا وسيقع كذا. Such and such is going to befall them. وليس من كهانة في شيء من يخبر عن الأمور تدرك بالحساب. You know, this thing about تدرك بالحساب, he's always distinguishing the unseen and the unknown from things that can be calculated. So he's always, the author is predicating this entire subject on whether or not you can figure it out yourself, or you need this kind of intermediary that contacts devils. فإن الأمور التي تدرك بالحساب ليس من الكهنة في شيء. So if you can figure it out, it's not كهنة. كما لو أخبروا عن كسوف الشمس أو كسوف القمر. As we know, we can see an eclipse of the sun and the moon. That's not كهنة. فهذا ليس من كهنة لأنه يدرك بالحساب. You can calculate this. وكما لو أخبروا أن الشمس تغرب في 20 من البرج. So now he's going on this, I won't read this page because he's going to talk about horoscopes and how people calculate through motions or placement of heavenly bodies, whether they be stars or planets or whatever, how they use this to figure out their life. So I just crossed this out because it's useless to know how they did it, because it's not true. And do you know how many people are doing this right now? Do you know I personally knew two women who had all of these charts, and they would, you know, the ultimate goal would be to give me my horoscope, and I would always say, this is witchcraft. You know, I don't know what words you want to use, but no thank you. Thanks, but no thanks. One of them was Russian, interestingly enough. I met her in Abu Dhabi. Anyway, that's the end of this page because I just said it's useless. So here we have now a hadith. Wara Muslim, the collection of Muslim. في صحيح أن بعض الأزواج النبي, that some of the wives of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, an Nabi, they narrated it and we get it from them, that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam called Man ata arafa فسأله عن شيء فصدقه بما يقول لم تقبل له صلاة 40 يوما. Anyone who goes to a fortune teller and believes what he says, his prayers will not be accepted for 40 days. That's bad. That's supposed to let you stay clear of them and never get near them, because they're fortune tellers. They're going to try to tell you the future, and Allah has already told us how many times that this is min al-ilm al-ghaib and nobody knows the future. And he's talking now more about the different types of the Najum and what they do with stars and how they lie about stars. It's basically the same thing. Yes, it's going on. It describes so much the same thing over and over again. For instance, he's classifying 4 types. The first type, man sa'ala su'alan mujarrida, someone who merely asks a question. فهذا haram, it's not allowed. لقول النبي, and then he gives you by that hadith how the Prophet said it's not allowed because your prayers won't be accepted. So this is tadalla tahriman. It is forbidden. Number 2, an yasalu fayisaddaqu. The first one is you just ask him. The second one is you believe what he tells you. فإن تصديقه فعلم الغيب تكذيب للقرآن. So if you're going to believe it, it's telling you here you're lying about the Quran. Because there's a verse, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل لا يعلم من في السماوات والأرض الغيب إلا الله. No one knows whatever is happening in the earth or skies except Allah. And that's in Surah Namla, verse 65. Third category. أن يأسله ليختبروا. Oh, you're asking just to test him. What is he going to say? هل هو صادق أو كاذب? Is he a liar or is he truthful? لأجل أن يأخذوا بقوله, in order to take his words or not. فهذا لا بأس به ولا يدخل في الحديث. He's saying this is not a problem if you're just testing him. You're not believing him. وقد سئل النبي, Prophet Muhammad was asked, Ibn Sayyad, فقال ماذا خبأت لك? قال الدخ. What's going on with you? The person said a dukh. Now a dukh usually means to get dizzy. فقال أخسأ فلن تعدوا قدرتك. Now this is interesting for me because I had a sheikh once who actually told me this saying. I had so many really honest and brave and capable, and just, I got the best shuyukh in Egypt. I swear I did. And he told me that this can be said if you are facing someone that is extremely evil, and you know they are, and there's proof, because you're supposed to be, when you're involved in this realm or in this sphere of inquiry, you're going to be exposed to this kind of stuff, which I was. And this is something you should know. And I remember when he told me this, I said, I'm supposed to say this? He said, yes. And you're supposed to say this very firmly. And here it is. Akhsa. Akhsa. Alif. Kha. Sin. Alif with a hamza on top. That's your first word to him, like, get away from me. And then the rest is, فَلَن تَعُدُّوا قَدْرَتَكَ. Don't exceed your capabilities. Now, you may scoff and you may think, nah, this is Hadith al-Bukhari. When you become exposed to these types of what we would call supernatural things, but you know what it is? It is supernatural in a sense. It's Allah showing you things, teaching you things, exposing you to things so that you will know and you will be well informed, and then you will believe in the words of Allah. I remember how I would constantly say in my first year in Egypt, I don't believe in that stuff. I don't believe in that stuff. I'm American. My ancestors from Ireland and on my mom's side, a few from Italy, they would often talk about these old ways, and I would say, oh, how could you be so foolish and stupid and ignorant and wrong? Well, Muslims have been informed that there are strange things that happen, usually coming from jinn. Yes, that's one concept I never believed in the beginning. And you're told to believe in it. And some people would just be stubborn, headstrong like me, and say, I'm not going to believe in that stuff. I'm not going to believe in this stuff. I tell you this because when I look back on my life and how pathetic I was in those days, Allah has shown mercy on me. He's so patient with me. And now here I find myself teaching this Kitab al-Tawheed, which I realize I'm only on the ether. I'm on my YouTube videos, and I could never teach this in any masjid. Number one, they'd be afraid because they're afraid of it. And number two, it wouldn't be allowed by the quote, the board. This is gold. This book is gold. You might scoff. I hope you do, because that means you're totally dismissing the efficacy of it. But don't dismiss its being available to some people. Because the key to all this is, do you believe in other powers or do you not? That's what we call in Arabic the lub of the mawdu'a, the pivot point, the mahwar of all of this. If you believe in other powers, even though Allah has already told you He has no partners, what He's going to do is test you with it, threaten you with it, punish you with it. I think you get it by now how this works, okay? So now He's giving some examples of some of the things, and one of them it's mentioned, interestingly enough. يُخَدِّمُونَ الْإِنس, these devils, help the ins. بِالْأَمُورِ مُحَرَّمْ مِنَ الزِّنَا وَاللُّوَاتِ. Yes, right here. Proof positive. They instigate fornication and homosexuality. Oh, I'm not supposed to say that. Well, I'm saying it. I'm warning you. Is it not enough that some say we've already started World War III? Do you know that Allah tells us when homosexuality becomes open and proudly displayed and no one cares, no one objects, Allah will destroy that calm. That calm is going down. Let's get off that subject. I think I'm clear enough now. Let's go on to another hadith because we want to keep this hopefully under a half an hour. And just want to make sure I get the hadith in because it's always the clearest and most easy to handle. This hadith, أخرجه أبو داود عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال, Prophet Muhammad said, من أتى كاهنا فصدقه بما يقول فقد كفر بما أنزل على محمد. Whoever goes to the fortune teller and believes what he says has disbelieved in the revelation of Muhammad, which is the Quran. Is that clear enough? You believe these fortune tellers, and you know they're proliferating now. They were around more when I was young. Then they more or less disappeared. Not really, but nobody cared. Well, they're back. They're back with a vengeance now. Because people are nervous, upset, they don't know what they're doing, they're afraid. So, I want to give you another hadith. Okay. وعن عمران بن حسين مرفوعا. And this is Sahih ala Shart al-Albani. You know, Albani is a very great hadith narrator from Albania. That's why he's called Albani. And he's the latest, the most modern of the commentators. And many of the traditional Azhar scholars, they reject Albani. They say, no, I'm not going to take Albani. But all of the best ones take Albani. So if you run across that, you will understand what's going on with Albani. His name was Nasr ad-Din Albani, the victory of the religion. And as I told you, he's from Albania. And there aren't many good Muslims in Albania, but Allah picked him. I met him in Jordan, in his office with his daughter. Because when I was in Jordan, I actually prayed Ramadan, Taraweeh prayer there. I've had so many adventures, but I don't want to do my personal life because then you won't get the real ilm and it's never going to end. But let's just say, without any vanity, I'm special. I'm saying it with fakhara fi din. Fakhara fi din, fakhara means to be proud, but not to be proud in the wrong way. So sometimes when I think about my past, I just sometimes can't really believe what I got from Allah and how I got it and why I got it and where I got it and where am I now? I'm down in the southernmost tip of America in what they call redneck land. Yes, redneck land, where everybody's ignorant, and I don't want to say everybody, but let's just say if you take America as a whole, where Allah has placed me is the opposite of where I came from. I came from the Northeast in the Harvard, MIT areas, and here I am with the good old boys. They have sawed-off shotguns that they ride around in pickup trucks and intimidate people. And they call themselves Christians. It's called the Southern Baptist, Protestant types. I don't know why I'm telling you all this. I just think it's interesting for you to know that how Allah can just totally change your circumstance opposite of your circumstance and bring you from those people, those country club, yacht club, banking, those people, my dad, and bring me down here. And I love it down here. I just love the South because the people down here, they're, on the whole, they're extremely polite, much more than the Northerners. And they're sociable and they're simple. They don't care about intellectual endeavors. They might go to community college or a state college, but there's nothing like that down here. So we say they could be fertile, ard al-khisba, fertile ground for Islam, if you know what I mean. But many of their ministers tell them that we are the devil. Yes, it's something that should be known because they make a huge attack against Islam down here. And it's okay. Walk around in your hijab. Don't worry about it because we give them what Ibn Taymiyyah called al-hujja bi jahala. They have an excuse because of their ignorance. Not everyone accepts Ibn Taymiyyah's words. They don't have mercy. Ibn Taymiyyah had mercy. Did you hear or did you not hear? Okay, so now let's go to well, this is more commentary on the fortune telling, etc. But I don't think we have here a new hadith that we haven't studied before, or do we? Yes, we do. وقال ابن عباس في قومي يكتبون ينظرون في نجوم. Here are the people ما أرى من فعل ذلك له عند الله من خلاق. We're talking here about people who read in stars. Astrologers. We have astronomers and astrologers. So we grew up learning that the astronomers were respectable. You know, they studied the motions of the stars and the planets. For whatever reason, it was respectful. Then we have the astrologers, and they're the ones who give you your horoscope. They would be part of that kahana, the people that are fortune telling and saying if your star is in this house, you know, they have all these words, and that's going to give you whatever results that they want you to know. And of course, that is forbidden. So we call them these people that work with jinn, and they come up with theories and they spread it around so that you will believe it. فاسق يتعلمون معه على الإثم والعدوان. You're learning things that are sinful and making enmity between people. And it's in the Quran. These two words, remember them. Ithman means sin, wa'adwanan means aggression. So much of what we could prevent with just some knowledge of La ilaha illa huwa al-hayyu al-qayyum. Ya Rab. And the person who was famous for this was a person called Abajad Yandaruna fi Najum. This is back in the days of the Arab. Abajad. And it's funny because the word Jad, I believe we get the word good from Jad, because if you are Jawad, in that you can say grammatical, linguistic concept, someone who is Jawad, coming from Jude, is very good. It's a great name for a man. To call a Muslim man Jawad, it's beautiful. And I believe we get the word good. In other words, if you pronounce the Jeem, you will have Jude. But if you pronounce it the wrong way as Geem, which is totally incorrect, and it's mainly how the Egyptians speak, yes, they do the totally wrong letter and they don't care. So that could be one of the reasons of some problems in Egypt, I believe, that the way you pronounce the letters shows your respect to Allah. Here's another one. Swallowing the qaf. You know, we have the kaf, it's like a K, and we have the qa, it's like a Q with a little something in your throat that is like qa, qa, qa. And then we have ka, it's a smiley one. They're not the same. And you know what the enemies do? They literally mistranslate and miswrite while they know. And who are they? BBC and all of the other liars. They will mispronounce and mistranslate, miswrite letters and change them, while they know very well it should be a qaf, very well it should be a kaf, but they don't do that. And it's really disingenuous, to say the least, and evil to really call it for what it is, because, for instance, it's not Qatar, it's Qatar, of Qatar. No, it's Qatar. Please, do you think they don't know? They absolutely 100% know. And they will continually mispronounce the letters. Now, this is the sign of Yehud. Let's get into the word Yehud again, because it just needs a lesson every day. We have Banu Israel coming from the tribe of Jacob, chosen by Allah to fight in his path. Chosen. And then they went astray by disobeying while they knew. So remember, the important element that you have to really place in any kind of judgment, do they know? If they know, and you're sure they know, now they are called Yehud. They divert from the path deliberately. So when you know how many Yehud there are, you will know that they're not always from Israel. No, and they're not always from Eastern Europe, from some ghetto. No, that adjectival description can be applied to anyone, anywhere. Anyone, anywhere, that you would be a Yehud. So you don't want to even get near that description, you know? And then we have a lot of side arguments about the Yehud, and could they be accepted if they just believe in all the prophets, but then they stop at Prophet Muhammad? Well, do they know? Because you see, you'll never be called a kafir or a disbeliever if you believe in prophecy and you believe in the unity of Allah, La ilaha illallah. He is one, and all his prophets came with the same message. Can't call you a kafir unless and until you have the Quran and you understand it and you realize it, you've digested it, you know what it means. Now you're a Yehud. And that's not a good thing to be. That means you have deliberately, totally turned your back on the truth. And then what you're going to do with that, how much mischief you're going to make in the land? Well, we're witnessing it, aren't we, right now? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.